Hey, Christy Renee here from Mind Rewire. I just got a message on my channel from, I don't have my right glasses on so I can't see, from, I want to say it says Sun in September. That's so awesome. That's beautiful. I like that a lot. And she's asking, or he's asking, you never really went into what to do when the derogatory thoughts happen and things turn negative and we turn negative. Can you please expand on that? Currently aggravated because I've been manifesting and nothing is happening, which causes more aggravation. It does, and I can tell you a little bit as to why. And so let's go into that. So I do want to say today is 4/16, 2024. The year is going by super crazy fast, and I don't even know what to think anymore. It's going by so fast. But if you can get a handle on this and really start to understand it, it'll benefit you greatly on your journey. So there was a video I did, just a couple videos, maybe 4 or 5 videos before this one. So you have to go back and look for it. I don't even really remember what it was called. But it was about this kind of thing is, what do you do when your head goes south and you get really negative and how you can stop that. So I actually gave some ways to help stop that. I think I did anyway, but she never really went into it. When you start getting derogatory thoughts, right, the brain starts giving you information based on usually something that's just happened. You have to first become aware that you've just done that. It's the first part of the awareness game, is just to start becoming aware. Every time that you do it, if you call yourself out and go, I just did that again. I just let a derogatory thought happen and it turned me negative to whatever the situation is, right? You have to become aware. I just had another derogatory thought. I just had another derogatory thought. I just now had another hateful thought. I just now had another sad thought. I just now had another angry thought. Like, what the F? Why is my brain doing this, right? And then, that's right, turns you negative, right? What the F? You go into the fight. Let me tell you a little bit of a story, and I'll tell you how I handled it. Years and years and years ago, I had 2 adult kids living in my house. And it was a mess, right? There was a lot of crap going on that shouldn't have been, a lot of manipulation, a lot of weirdness that I can't even explain. And before it ended, I would find myself literally getting in my van to drive home and have these thoughts going through my head, like us just fighting and arguing. Like every time I got in my car to drive towards that house, it would just start. And I kept becoming more and more aware of it. And it was like I was just watching myself do it at some point. It had happened so many times and it was just causing so much stress in my system. I didn't even want to go home anymore. I was just so over all of it. But at one point I was driving home, and this is very literal. I was driving home and that started, and I went, wait, I don't have to do this. I literally recognized that it was my brain throwing out those thoughts. What happens when the derogatory thoughts happen? You become aware of it and you take charge of it. You take ownership of it and you deny it. You don't let it happen. Then don't deny it, meaning say, it didn't happen. Deny it from happening, right? Let it cease to exist. And the question is always, how do you do that? There's many ways you can work on that. But the first part of it is you have to become aware of it happening. And then you get so aware of it, you can actually get to a place where you're aware of it. It's about to happen. So this is a work in progress, right? This is a continual action in your desire to not have these thoughts happen. If when you're in the fight and in the middle of it and you're like, oh man, I did it again, and you're like recognizing it's just, you're all in there doing that, take a deep breath and exhale and inhale and let your body move with it. Start to move your body, right? Arms come up, maybe you come up on your toes, spine extends, curve it coming back down, right? Really start to move your body with your breath. If you want to, you could, I made a face because it's just crossed my mind, do some kind of cross patterns, right? Do crossover, do cross crawl marching. What are we doing when we're crossing midline of the body? Is you're trying to get both sides of the brain to start, to fire at the same time to the subject that you're in there fighting with. In action, while this is happening, while you're in your brain fighting and all the derogatory stuff is coming on that you turn negative to, if you think to start breathing, calm your system down with the breath and the movement, right? Move your body, cross midline of the system, either a cross crawl or both cross crawl and rotating, kind of like even you're bicycling maybe, or running, jogging, but you can do it standing in place, or simply look up my whole brain state videos that are on here somewhere. You'll find them if you look for whole brain state. Cross your arms and legs and just sit there in a pattern to it and just observe it. I know you don't want to hear this. Everybody wants a quick, easy answer. How do I get rid of this right now? Here's the truth. If you do something like Psych K or emotion code, and these are all wonderful things you can do that will aid you in these moments. What happens, I'm trying to choose my words wisely here because I've gotten in trouble for this before. What can happen is that the issue just gets kind of buried, right? Does it come apart in your brain like we say it does, like you're crossing your arms and legs and breathing to the issue and the neuroplastic starts to come apart? For some people. For some people, it doesn't seem to so much, right? You miss the mark somehow, and so it doesn't seem to come all the way down. And then it comes back up again. We end up back in the same turmoil over again. I've seen a lot of people that's happened to. So for some people, it's the answer. Some people, it's not. Everything seems to be like this. For some people, this works. For some people, it doesn't, for whatever reason, right? I don't know what the reason is. But if you're in the middle of this and you catch yourself and you start breathing and you cross your arms and legs, you are going to have a better chance of unplugging it, perhaps, or at least calming it down so that you can get a handle on it. Does that make sense? It is a work in progress. This is a work in progress. If you switch your arms and legs, right, switch patterns, there's combination of 4 patterns you can do: right over left, left over right, right over left, right up and down. You have a better chance of hitting the spot in your brain or following the trail through your brain where all this information is in the form of neuroplastic. And then you get a little bit closer to freedom. At the end of the day, what I have noticed is the better you are at being a curious observer, and observing those thoughts, observing those things. Do the crossover stuff, right? Do the heart coherent stuff for sure, because that definitely, all of this stuff helps. It'll get you a step closer for sure. But at the end of the day, if you've done your heart coherent work and you're inside your heart and just being there, and you recognize you can be the curious observer to anything, just curiously observe it. Just watch it. Watch the thought, watch your reaction to the thought, watch what your reaction does to you when you're thinking the thought. Watch what the people who you point at when you have the thought, the people you blame, curiously observe that concept. And I'm not going to say you're going to get all the answers. I'm not going to tell you that it's going to be this magical, but what it will do is it will start to alter your perception of what you were thinking before. It'll give you a different way to think about it. Somehow, it always does. The act of curiously observing. Just notice, be there and pay attention to it. If you want to take that a step further, and this is getting a little bit more complex at this point, because now you have to have control of your system, right? In order to do this, in order to be aware and then start a process of observation, And even doing the little bits of work in between. I call it little bits. It's a lot of work. The crossover patterns, the whole brain states, the heart coherence, the emotion code, the psyche, whatever it is you choose to do. Whatever the thing is that you use to clear, right, the issue, clear the issue. If you become a curious observer to it, and you start recognizing that, and it starts kind of pulling itself apart and pulling away from you, you will find that if you think about it, or you put yourself back in, into that position or into that place, you can pull it right back up, right? It's not gone. The higher level of this would be start taking labels off. I've got my heart coherent, my brain's in a state of wholeness, right? The whole system's coherent, right? My heart, my brain, my gut. I've got my cells open up and ready to receive information. I'm aware when these thoughts happen. I can go after them. I can look at them and be like, right? I can point them out, which is what I mean by go after them. I can curiously observe them. It's work. You got to sit down and do it to make it happen, right? You got to realize it, and then you got to go through with it. And then I realize as a curious observer, I keep labeling stuff, and that keeps bringing it back into the system. So I take the labels off. What does that do to it? And people will say, oh, that's impossible. You can't do that. No, you can. You absolutely can. Take the labels off of it and see what happens to your perception of it. Super interesting. I take the labels off of it. Okay. And then I have a thought that goes, oh, you can't do that. Get rid of your thoughts. Can you quiet your thoughts? And I'm not saying get rid of them. I don't mean do something to unplug everything so that you have no thoughts. I'm saying be aware, be the observer, take the labels away, tell the thoughts to stop, right? When the thought happens, you're going to curiously observe it too. So, right, I'm in a process doing this. And let's say whatever it is I'm curiously observing is maybe somebody's mad at me. And recently this has actually come up. So somebody's mad at me, and it's come up for a lot of people, which I find, well, I guess it happens all the time. Not in my world, but apparently it happens all the time. They like block you or they unfriend you. I mean, in my day, when you unfriended somebody, you walked up and punched them in the face, right? So I'm like, this unfriending thing to me is like, I don't know, it's just weird. It's childish. But do what you have to do for yourself in the moment that you have to, right? But I become aware, and then I'm the observer, and I'm observing how it makes me feel when somebody blocks me or unfriends me or whatever. And then I take the label off that. Take all the labels away from it. And you have to breathe through this. You have to kind of sit for a minute. And then I hear my brain go, you can't do that. That's the thought. Then I curiously observe the thought, I can't do that. And I'm curiously observing that thought. And then I take the label away from it. And I do that over and over and over and over. It turns into a game, right? If you want to make it permanent and you want to truly change yourself in a manner that's going to not only get rid of the obtrusive, derogatory thoughts and the negative stuff that comes with it, the negative self-talk and whatever, and raise your level of consciousness and come a little bit closer possibly to your true self. That's how you do it. And it's a continual action. It's a constant, right? Somebody literally asked me today, how often do you do this? Because we were having this exact conversation. How often do you do this? How often do you do heart coherence? And how often do you be the curious observer? And my answer back was, what happens when you don't? What happens when you don't? You're participating in the nonsense you don't want. Yeah? If you are not heart coherent, if you are not being the curious observer, you are participating in exactly the thing that you don't want. So my answer is, I don't know, when you want to participate in the nonsense or when you want your peace, because this will create extreme peace. But it is the continual, constant doing that gets you there, okay? My name is Christy Renee. This channel is called Mind Rewire. If you want a private session, let me know. You can contact me at cmatune1313 at protonmail.com. Now, this is the kind of stuff I would just keep walking you through. One of the things you have to do is start watching the way you're languaging things. You talked in here about manifesting and nothing is happening. Vibration is what causes manifestation to happen, right? The vibration, you hit the vibration, right? And you get whatever you've asked for. Knock and the door shall be open. Ask and you will receive, right? It's that concept. But your vibration has to be right. If I'm fighting with the derogatory and the negative, and it's embedded somewhere in me that I can't even always see it, that's constantly reproducing itself and sending itself out, so it's blocking your attempts at manifestation. Yeah? Let me tell you a secret about manifestation. If the truth be known, a lot of the stuff we've been taught is, I won't say it's worthless. It's like everything else. It works for some and not for others. You have to find the thing that kind of resonates with you. But if you're in a state of curious observation, you're in tune with your spirit, everything is quiet, I put in my request for whatever I'm manifesting, and then I take all the labels off and I sit in that vibration, what do you think happens to manifestation? That might take a second to kind of register, but I guarantee it will change things for you if you get it, right? Some of this stuff you won't get it until you're ready to get it. You just won't. I went in circles for almost 2 hours earlier today. Bless this person's heart with this gal that's just, she's trying so hard, and I'm not going to give up on her. But she isn't getting it yet. It's like close. She's on the cusp of like tilting over the edge, and I'm just like, come on, just sit with it. I'm telling her to be the curious observer, and she's commanding her spirit to release, and I'm like, it'll never work. It'll never work, because you are in the fight by the time you've realized and become aware that you're in the fight. You've already got the neural programming going on, you've got the hormones revving up in the system, and you've already thrown yourself back down the chute. If you can sit there and just become aware and become curious, become that curious observer, changes everything. I'm telling you. It's a fast track to enlightenment. It's a fast track to enlightenment. I bless you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I'll try to stick this link underneath the question from this person. Yep. And like I said, I bless you. I hope this helps.